Tinastilin. Giving thanks and praises continually for the energy that moves I and I between birth and death. That life energy that keeps the meditation sound. The energy that is driven by consciousness and intelligence, spirituality. This is the Metamorphosis. I am your host. I'm Dr. Iman Blak, taking you through the paces, the challenges that all rest within. Give thanks. Greetings. There is a real need for the people of this island now to get up and fight for what is their rights. The people who have survived emancipation and apprenticeship and education to get themselves trained and disciplined to give service to this society. When all is done and said, there is no return that makes material life meaningful. This is dread on this Jamaica plantation. Greetings all those who are tuned into Styles FM and are part of this broadcast coming from this small place that is echoing into the far reaches of the globe through this internet system of communication. Yeah, we give thanks for that science and the capacity to be organized and to create our own information, produce our own intelligence, direct our own path. Been quite a while that we have been directed for so long by so many that it's probably feeling very strange when you have to be directing yourself. But with practice, it becomes permanent. And so we continuously work at that aspect of self. So hail all the ones locally on the island, those in the Caribbean, and those who are further onto the continents and the bigger spaces. Hail and give thanks for the connection. On the rock here now, the rock is in turmoil. as is part of the regular cycle here. If it's not this, is that. But this time it's deep-rooted and anchored into the very fabric of this plantation, this British colony that was turned over to some people, planter class and their friends, and told to govern on behalf of the Queen, who put her representative, the Governor General, on the plantation to make sure that his dictates are maintained to the level that there's a throne speech before the politicians can speak. So the throne speech and the Governor General outlined to the nation what the politicians are going to do. So all him know. So what were some problems here now when it comes right down to the foundation, the workers, the slaves? Because before 1838 there was no such term as worker. All of y'all people and their generations were slaves with no money as compensation. Slaves. And when the sugar thing was no longer viable and the British wanted to free themselves, they decided to emancipate themselves and turn us into workers. And on that basis now, we have to be educated now to be workers. And many of us and generations pursue this education to the maximum. All institutions send our kids there and our children there and spend what we don't have. And when time comes for graduation, the same land that we work for tells us that them can't pay us what we do earn, forcing great majority of our people to escape. Yeah, man, to run away from this rock, well educated, but don't have the social connections to be paid properly. So what we have now is a total nation under siege because the governance has been turned over to international forces that defining now whether we eat or not. And so the crisis has come to the bump, where the police, which is security, the teachers, education, the nurses, health, and the other important agencies of workers who have been frozen in their money for the last 5 years, while the government digs in deeper into taxation. Government meaning some people, you know. Some people whose salaries are never reduced, who continue to go to America for treatment and buying of goods and living way beyond the normal people in the country, driving big vehicles and big guzzlers. Something is very, very uneven and it's going to shake up now. And we the people thinking now, we have to look at the nature of governance. And how so much money is directed to something like the King's House. What is the purpose of financing King's House when policemen could use and teachers could use a better salary? The nurses need money. What is the purpose? We need to redirect our interests and rethink out this plantation. That those who are genuine workers, who don't want to go underground and join part of the underground economy, those who want to work above the ground, should have enough money to meet the basic bills. Human rights we're talking about now, you know. These are human rights. The right to shelter. The right to no longer have to hide from the rent man. That right. Yeah, those basic rights. Right to shelter. Right to employment. So the challenge is on. And I within this metamorphosis now, we're look keenly now into why is it the country now is under this grip. And why is it is running like a ship without a rudder? And when you try to find the driving forces, you have to look outside the country. You have to look to forces like the International Monetary Force. That is now defining whether we live or we die. And do we continue to deal with it this way, or do we change the nature of our governance to address those forces? Continuous debt and low wages. Drinking until you are responsible to be drunk. We have to check now because time is getting seriously crucial. That's at the local level. At the global level now, I want to look at the fallout that is taking place in this organization called FIFA. This major world organization that is bigger than the United Nations. this organization that is the richest sporting organization and the largest governing body in the world. This organization that has been finally infiltrated by a force that is outside of itself. And this is on the this is to the workings of the United States Justice Arm, the FBI, and the Internal Revenue Service, who have found ways to get into FIFA through one of their agents, one of their nationals who was a part of the FIFA, and they had investigate him, and he spilled the beans. And suddenly now realize that the world is in a turmoil. I want to speak to those aspects of governance and politics and leadership and why the whole world is in such a disarray. And is it time that black people now in this mushy situation should begin to think about political organizations and political parties? And do we have to think black to save ourselves? Metamorphosis, continuing this early movements. You know, May 25th, 4 days ago, there was a celebration taking place around the world. Several celebrations, May 25th. Now, mainstream thinking in Jamaica celebrated Labor Day. So the workers who are underpaid with no income and in debt were now being encouraged to continue to labor. This time they must labor for the community. This is work that is supposed to be done basically every day by the government. And the same government that can't pay that is unwilling to pay the people still have the workers laboring even on Labor Day. In the United States, of course, them celebrating something called Memorial Day. Connected to them war stories and them bombs bursting through here. But you see, that same day now, May 25th, for the consciousness of the people who are driven by Africa and those who are outside of the mainstream unconsciousness, the African consciousness celebrated African Liberation Day on that very same day. So there's a clear vision or view of the consciousness that is subdued after February, Black History Month. Once that door closed, and I move into the Roman calendar and the Jesus philosophy, the nature of being African seemed to be put in the background. So on Monday, African Liberation Day was celebrated by the conscious few. There was a particular gathering at the University of the West Indies campus where I represented the Rastafari University FI Life Learning as a part of the group. And the questions arose as to, is that holiday relevant? And it began to sound the same way as though some of us are asking, is whether Black History Month still relevant or not? So African Liberation Day come. And this question still continues to haunt. Are the people on this island conscious or willing to acknowledge and accept that their identity is African? How many persons are willing to accept that 100%, regardless of the so-called mixture? Because there seems to be this reasoning that because many of our generations were raped, the blood of the rapist take away our Africanness. It does not. It is the dominance of our genetics that make us African. One drop of Caucasian blood or 2 drops cannot remove the power of being African. So you have a thing now called mixed race. So the identity issue now becomes very, very prominent in this particular struggle now, because the struggle of the workers in Jamaica, I don't know if the workers see themselves as Africans yet, but them see themselves as workers. And if the workers begin to recognize the nature of the governance and where the governance is coming from, then it may be very possible that identity along the line of racial consciousness can galvanize the people of this island, because everybody now feeling the same joke. And the leadership issue now will move beyond P and realize that none of the P's running the island. None of the P's can run this island the way the place is in debt. The island is being run by outside forces. International monetary forces and the Queen and her councils. So the workers, teachers and nurses and the policemen and other government workers, it's time to rally. And the rally now will not be around political parties. It will be around the conditions of the majority of those on the plantation. And the majority of those on the plantation, whether they want to accept it or not, are African people. So African Liberation Day may not seem like a relevant day, but it is still very important for those who are holding the flame of consciousness. And of course, Rastafari central in that process. Metamorphosis.
So they want time to change my identity. Musically. So they want time to change my identity. Musically. Some music We work over here, we work everywhere. Work over there, we work over here, we work everywhere. So they want time to change my identity. Musically, musically, musically. So they want time to change my identity. Musically, musically, musically. My identity, my identity. Who will stand up for the people? Musically, musically, musically. Who will stand up for the people? Musically, musically, musically. Slowly one time to change my identity. Musically, musically, musically. My identity, my identity. Musically, musically, musically.
Yeah, we're continuing. I want to greet my brethren in the studio here. In the studio here is my brethren Ross McConnell, and I'm going to be as succinct and as forceful as usual as we go through the reasoning. Looking into some various issues now. One of the themes, of course, is the idea of the governance, the type of governance that the plantation is now under. We'll look at where it's coming from. And I was to have a guest that would engage I and I in some reasoning around the Marcus Garvey's philosophy and output, because it is obvious now that something is not in place. It is obvious that the vast population of Jamaica who are educated are even not so well educated, but who are have the discipline to work, are willing to work. But what we're finding is that there is no compensation. The compensation for work don't match up. The money, you can't even buy clothes to go to work, much less the bus fare, the transportation, nor the lunch. So something is so short that it bringing the system to a halt and making people violent, making people angry, without really knowing where to direct the anger. Most of the time it goes towards the people closest to you. So we have to find a way now to sort out in our own thinking. How do we develop a consciousness of ourselves that we become more respectful of our neighbors within the same struggle? So the African Liberation Day idea that I was talking to the item earlier about now is something that I want to advance. The idea of the collective of the population rallying around an identity that is common. Marcus Garvey created an organization in the 1920s, large organization that became global, called Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA. And the black people around the world rally around that movement. And in Jamaica, Marcus also set out to form a political party established called the PPP, the People's Political Party. So it was from the very 1920s, there was an effort to organize black people in political structures. Because to really exercise power, you need to be politically organized and have economic resources. So the formation of a political party is something that the island actually gained experience through the workings of Marcus Garvey. Garvey's organization in America was called UNIA. It was a global one. The identity now issue within that organization arises in 2015, wherein the people of calling themselves of color are finding it now difficult to relate to the term Negro. Okay. Makonnen, one day I come in at this point here now. Yeah, I always knew of the new NIA. We have his flagship organization.
Seen.
We know that it means Universal Negro Improvement Association. And we also know that in the 1920s, the people of Africa, just being recently emancipated, were also in a very negative state of receptivity to the old term Africa. At that time, the people, they never even wanted to hear about Africa.
I'll know.
Even
Them
to this
don't
extent,
hear
they
about
don't want to
Africa.
hear. At that time, it was even more severe because of the level of the propaganda, the media, the movies, the literature. Africa was just a place that people should not think about. So the organization to rally around African people now, it probably looked strange to use the word African. So the Negro, which was a term given by the white man to black people, Marcus Garvey found it appropriate to continue to use the term Negro. He also had another organization besides UNIA. That was the ACL, the African Community Leagues. So I think from that perspective, it kind of Marcus Garvey kind of showing us that, look, yes, this part is called the Negro Improvement Association, but there's also the African Community Leagues. So I want to say to that now today, in Jamaica and Makonnen, with all of these people now who are struggling for better wages, how many of the population you think see themselves as Negroes as opposed to Africans? Where do you think we reach on the island?
Well, you see, right, you know,
Yeah.
the term African don't really carry the 100% negative connotation anymore. But it's still there. Heavy percentage, I would have put it at even more than 50%.
Mm-hmm.
You see the term Negro? The term Negro would have come in like something where drop out.
I mean, drop out.
Nobody know one, nobody call them Negro in at this time.
You think so?
Yes, it come in like, it's not like a man would have prefer you call him Jamaican. Black.
Yeah?
Yeah, but
But wait a second, Negro getting fading out?
yeah, it's not up, it's building right now. It
So-
seems like it going down.
So if we were take a survey across maybe Christendom, for example, you think the people in the Christendom see themselves otherwise than Negroes?
Well,
What do you think?
probably the only way Negro stand a chance is if you say Negro versus African. Then the people them would have want go with Negro because them no want be African.
Be an African, yeah.